Hi, I'm John. I'm in Alameda, California. We're here at the U.S.S. Hornet Museum. Today is December 7th. But if you all don't remember what December 7th is, I'm going to brief you a little history about that.
Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan. The facts of yesterday and today speak for themselves. With confidence in our armed forces, with the unbounding determination of our people, we will gain the inevitable triumph, so help us God. I ask that the Congress declare that since the unprovoked and dastardly attack by Japan on Sunday, December 7th, 1941, a state of war has existed between the United States and the Japanese Empire.
4 U.S. Navy battleships were sunk and 4 other battleships were present there were damaged. The Japanese also sank 3 cruisers, 3 destroyers, an anti-aircraft training ship, and 1 mine layer. 188 U.S. aircraft were destroyed, where 2,402 personnel were killed and 1,228 were wounded. We come back here again to honor those who actually went there and died and gave their lives.
Freedom is never more than just a generation away. And that's you and me. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same. I speak because my father was in World War I, and he passed on to me. I never could understand it. We fought a war to end all wars, and it didn't work. And now we're going to do it again. Pearl Harbor, in retrospect, was one of the turning points in history because of its involvement as a nation and then subsequently the manner in which wars were fought, and you realize no more battleships. For the same reasons that they seem to have been fought in the first place. We just don't understand each other. We had a confidence in our own military forces that this was something that had been experienced in our nation's history before, where forces have attacked, and that the outlook was grim, but we came through. And and at that particular moment in time for myself, I finished my education, graduated the following June. I had a brother who was drafted and was served in Europe at that time. And so I felt involved, but also detached, because I realized at that time, just like the things that you are doing are just as important as the man on the line. I have felt that right along. We're all in it together, that's all.
I was in Indianapolis and I was in high school. I was 16 years old. And the terrible thing about it, I don't really remember too much about where was Pearl Harbor. A lot of us, where's Pearl Harbor? But we learned very rapidly where was Pearl Harbor. And I think one of the main concerns then, that we'd been concerned about the East Coast being attacked. Now the main thing was the West Coast. By living in the central part of the country, we weren't too frightened of airplane coming in and bombing and so forth. But we thought about the people that lived out on the West Coast, and was in high school. And then the war continued on, and both my brothers went into the Navy. The older one went in first, and then the younger one left high school, and joined the Navy. And when I got out of high school, I went to join the Navy. They wouldn't take me because I wasn't old enough. Both my brothers could be 17, but I had to be 20 years old. But that worked. I joined, and I was in just, went in July, and the war was over in August. But during World War II, when you enlisted, you signed up for the duration and 6 months. And I extended for 6 months, so I was in a year. And I was basic training and coursal training in New York area, and being in this area at the time. A lot of young men that were coming back from the South Pacific, and a lot of it wasn't too pleasant. A lot of it was very sad and very, but it was good to see them being home and going through the hospital. And one of my jobs was taking them to the train station in Pleasanton, and some of them were not any older than I was, and they'd been through the war. Believe me, they'd been through the war. And I've often many times wondered what ever happened to those young people that had been through. And that was one of my most moving experiences. I don't remember I do this. But I was in orientation over here, and there was a gentleman I walked over, and he was standing with a bell. And I started talking to him. He said, I've been down on the pier for about an hour. And he said, I finally decided I'm going aboard. So I came up over the main brow and standing there, and he said, Bob, when I came across the main brow, I forgot all the bad things, and I remembered the good times that we had. We stood there probably for a half an hour talking and crying. We're protecting our freedom, and the symbol of our freedom is the American flag. It's very well, you can tell when you come aboard the Hornet that anyone that's working on this ship, we're patriotic and we don't want things to be given up, like our flag and our freedom.
You figure that preserving freedom would come easy after December 7th, 1941. Well, later, 60 years later, on September 11th, 2001, well, it cost us again. We had to go against a new enemy. It was called terrorism, because we forgot our ways of old. So I say to you, the people, remember and the fallen comrades back in the days that fought for freedom, and try to preserve it now. I'm John, U.S.S. Hornet, signing off.